Good evening, everyone. I am live, sitting here, waiting for Paulo. Should be here in a few minutes, and Wilson's running late tonight. Don't know what time he's getting here, but he should be here. Good evening, Comic Crack. Good to see you here. So I figured I'd just come on before they showed up and chat a little bit. See what I got going on. What do I got going on? It's a good question. I was doing some little drawings today. Art card drawings. Good evening, Titcoblin. How are you doing today? Let's see. In the last couple of days, I've been working on my Sunday comic strip that I run called Drifting and Dreaming. It is made up of a bunch of good evening, Eric P. How are you doing tonight? Made up of a bunch of little art cards, some cartoon art cards where there's somebody standing there saying something to you. I worked on them in the beginning part of January. Now I started working on the ones, the panel in the middle, which are usually just a piece of art. Kind of give yourself a break from all the people talking to you in the strip. So I've been working on some of them today, mostly in marker. Yesterday I was working in watercolor. Watercolor is one of those mediums. It's not my best medium, but I always kind of like to work in it every now and then because it's kind of fun. And I love watercolor sets, the pan sets with all the different colors in them that you just wet and dip your brush in. So I was doing some of that yesterday. Let me show you a couple of them. Where are they? On my drawing table. Here are a couple of the watercolor ones. And I got this sparkly watercolor. See if we get the gold sparklies going. Oh, there we go. Now you can see a little bit of sparkling going on. But I got just a couple of these sets of watercolor. And I'm just doing little drawings with them. Nothing special, just some little faces, some little colors, just messing around with watercolor. There's Paulo. Good evening, Paulo. How are you tonight?
Here I am.
You're muted again. Can you believe it?
I'm muted again. No, I can't believe it.
Hold on. It might be me. I never turned on my little speaker.
Am I muted?
There you go. Now I hear you. It was me this time, not you.
Well, Firefox was doing updates. So
new Joe Sacco up on the Fantagraphics website. Oh, that's interesting. I have to check that out.
Oh no, Fantagraphics did a statement on the Israel-Gaza conflict because Joe Sacco's Palestine, and it generated a flame war.
Of course, it's gonna. Good evening, Mind the Comics. If you want any kind of flame war, Israel-Palestine is going to bring it. That's for sure. No doubt about that. When there's bullets flying, whew. I actually got some stuff from Uncivilized Books this week. It's funny because I think it was Monday. I got an email that said, your order has shipped. And I went, order? And I thought it might have been the, what was that book I subscribed to? The Sickness that I subscribed to, that first couple issues are out. Mm-hmm. Then I realized it was, it turns out it was January 4th. I ordered the 2 issues of Ginseng Roots I was missing, plus a graphic novel. Then I immediately forgot about it, and they didn't ship them for 2 weeks. Because usually, you make an order or something, you get an email that says, your order is being made, and then you get another email that says, here's the tracking number. Well, that here's the tracking number came 2 weeks later, by which time I'd already forgotten. So I was like, that one. The family business survives with a healthy city. Me and the family are always walking around seeing what businesses are shuttered. I caught them watching your walking videos to see how New York City is doing. There are a lot of buildings for lease in New York City. It is on my walk. There's at least from 14th Street to 34th Street. There's at least 10 buildings on 7th Avenue that are for lease. or the storefront. And if I walk down 6th Avenue, another 10. And I think that's all because it, from what I'm told about New York City real estate, it offers a tax advantage to not rent your building. So people have bought buildings, either fix them up or not fix them up. But if the demand isn't high for them and they can't get high rents, they just don't rent them, and they write it off as a loss against their other properties. So they pay less taxes. It's kind of nuts. I've never seen as many buildings for lease in New York City as I have in the last, I don't know, 3 years since COVID ended. It's crazy. Yeah, Inch of fucking Indians claiming they're genocide profiteer. Yeah, there's the flame war. It's nice to see the health of another city's small businesses. Yeah, New York City can use some more. Bunch of, yeah. How's your city doing, Paulo?
Well, we don't have commercial zones like you do. The businesses are in the buildings. Usually the ground floor. It has a store that's open to the street.
Right.
But a lot of them were small businesses. A lot of them are closed. I have a building right next to me. The building was built 12 years, no more. The building was built, almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
The commercial space has never been occupied.
Wow. In 20 years?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
But as for the cost of the apartments are stupid expensive.
Mm-hmm. I was just listening to a TikTok lecture on one of the problems with the U.S. cities, as opposed to especially older European cities, in the way they're built, is that, like you said, commercial spaces, American zoning has, it used to be, and in a lot of European cities, everything you need is in a 15 to 20-minute walk. So
That's
your
not
school
true.
is there, your church is there. Well, not every city, of course. But what that leads to, it leads to something they would call casual socialization, meaning you would walk around your city and you would see the people who you see at places, and you have casual socialization. And this is very true about me and most everybody. There's only planned socialization it's like, for me, if I want to get together with my friends, we have to plan something. There's nowhere I can run into them casually because everything's far away and spread out. And that also, I didn't realize, leads to liminal. That's what liminal spaces are. We've discussed liminal spaces here before. Liminal spaces are transitional spaces where you're really not supposed to be. It's because you have to plan your socialization. You get from point A to point B. The space you sort of, hallways and just like places that are transitionary places between 2 points. Those are liminal spaces that people started taking pictures of and stuff like that, and became like liminal photography became a thing. And we find places like that scary because they're not really built for human living. They're built for humans to pass through. So it's a really weird idea. Those two ideas go together. I realize the planned socialization and the liminal spaces go together.
One thing I've noticed about urban planning is that the urban planning, especially now with all the need to have to take cars out of the cities. Of course, we don't take cars out of the cities. You're just forbidden to drive your car.
Right.
But the idea that we should make it more friendly for pedestrians.
Right.
The plans come from people who would never be seen walking anywhere.
There is that.
Because to them, walking is like strolling. We're
Right,
taking a walk. To us, walking is when we have to get from point A to point B.
right.
We don't do it because it's fun.
Like New York is a pedestrian city too. People are always walking.
Yeah, but yeah, but of course the way that, even though unlike most American cities, New York is mostly
Yeah,
tall buildings.
right, right.
It's really
Completely
not made.
different.
You have so many people inside the city that you really can't drive most places. You
No,
never have the parking spaces.
it's too
Here they
expensive.
here you have a zone where which is mostly residential,
Hmm.
and City Hall will come in and enlarge the sidewalks and remove your parking spaces.
Ah,
Then you have to start parking a bit more away from your door, and you start
hmm.
invading the other streets, and that makes the people from those streets complain to City Hall, and they offer to fix that, not by fixing it, but by installing parking meters. While in order to park in your street, you still have to pay a license. So it's a tax. It's a tax for not owning a garage.
Ah, huh. If someone gets a tax write-off for not using something, then the taxing entity should have access to that write-off, a film or space, to try and recover lost tax revenue. Yeah, but the people who write the tax laws are the people who are writing the stuff off. Unfortunately,
Mm,
that's not a bad idea though. Portuguese cities are stupidly becoming car unfriendly. Yeah, streets narrowed, sidewalks enlarged. Small cities are getting almost New York Avenue large. Wow. I miss small stationery and art stores the most. Yeah.
oh
There
yeah.
used to be so many art, like in the 90s, there were so many art stores in, like when I was working at Marvel, there was within a lunchtime walking, there was half a dozen art stores I can go to.
Mm,
Not even
yeah.
stationery stores to set. Now, then they all disappeared as the internet
Yeah.
came around.
Yeah. I miss newsstands.
Oh yeah, newsstands too.
Yeah, because of course, I make a beeline for for the magazines that
Oh
interested
yeah.
me, but it would be nice to see all of those big magazine racks filled up with everything that you can imagine, and they disappeared. But of course,
When I used to go through Port Authority, there was a Hudson News was the newsstand chain that was in there. I
mhm,
think it still exists, but there's not many newsstands anymore. And there there'd be like half a dozen video game magazines, half a dozen art magazines, half a dozen photo magazines, you know, 25 pretty women, FHM type magazine, like plenty of
yeah,
stuff to look at and get a magazine,
mhm,
but not anymore. There was even a place, like I said, I used to go to Marvel. I think it was like a head shop. It was it was like a head shop magazine stand, except they had foreign magazines. I used to pick up the French version of Photo magazine there,
mhm.
which had nudity, unlike the American version. Good evening, 62 Lefty Blues. Hudson News. I only see those in airports. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's still a chain, but I don't really see them anymore. And bicycle lanes, even in my wife's city of birth, up on a mountain, tough as
Oh yeah.
Portuguese cycle.
No,
There,
those make me beat people up. Okay, the only people that actually use bicycles in Europe
mhm,
don't they'll talk. Oh no, in the Netherlands we bike everywhere. No, you don't. You don't bike everywhere. Like 2% of the
right.
Netherlands have more people who actually use their bicycle as their means of transportation, but they're like less than 2% of the population. In my country, everybody who owns a bicycle uses it only for exercising.
Yeah.
Nobody uses it as a means of transportation. So they built bike lanes. They're always empty. They took out parking spots. They took out second lanes in avenues to put those things in there, which are always empty. And whenever a bicycle comes through with someone dressed up like they're doing the training for the Tour de France, proving that they're not using it as a means of transportation,
Right.
where are they riding? Not on the bike lane.
Yeah, and I cannot believe the number of electric bicycles
Oh,
in Manhattan now, on 7th Avenue, and what it's like, because all the delivery people who used to be on bicycles or cars
mhm.
are now on electric bicycles.
Yeah.
So it's just electric bicycle, electric. In the summer, there's also the city bikes, which are the bikes you can rent. I see the pedal ones. I see them in the summer, like never now in the winter. They're all just lined up, ready to be rented. But the number of I mean, from pre-COVID to post-COVID, all the bikes went electrical, all of them. I
Hmm.
hardly like. I it's been since the warm weather that I've seen an actual pedal bike. I think in on 7th Avenue. So it's just like everything just zoom, and they go pretty quick too. Those electric bikes. It's like whoa, now got to be on the lookout for those.
And scooters.
Yeah,
No, those are terrible.
no scooters, all electric bikes.
Yeah, but here it's all scooters.
Yeah.
It's a lot of. The thing is, they had to create some legislation for scooters because we didn't have any, and of course everybody ignores it. You have to wear a helmet.
Mhm.
Don't see anybody wearing helmets driving their scooters. You have to be 18 to rent one, but of course all the kids just have the app on their phones and
Right.
they use it, and so they go joyriding,
Ah.
and then they climb three in a single scooter.
Printed
But there are,
magazines have become niche and
yeah,
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, but there are European capitals who they didn't ban electric scooters because you can own one,
Right.
but they banned the rental services like Lime. So
Okay.
you can't use them in the city anymore in some
Ah.
places.
It's funny he mentions magazines here. I actually was like, last semester, one of my students was like, said to me, do you know where I can get cheap magazines? Because in another class, she had a collage assignment. And I was like, holy cow, I don't think cheap magazines exist anymore. There's no such thing. She ended up scanning stuff in and printing it out and
Hmm.
cutting it up. I'm like, we need a
Yeah.
magazine section here where you can dispose of them. And I actually gave one of my students who makes collages I happen to be in the I don't know if I mentioned this, like in December sometime, I was in my LCS and he had just bought a collection. And he was throwing out the 90s comics that were battered, completely unsaleable. They weren't in good enough shape. When there's 100,000 mint condition copies of this comic for $1, a
Hmm.
battered copy is useless. So I was like, oh, give me those. So he gave me like 25 or 30 battered comics that I just gave to one of my students. They said, like, here, need stuff to cut up. He's like, I can cut these up. I'm like, don't worry. No one cares. They're not worth anything. Jared, you ever use your bike as transport? I used to, but not anymore. Now I ride for exercise. I haven't been able to get out in a couple of weeks because of the freezing weather. I thought I would be able to get out this morning, but it was raining. Maybe tomorrow morning. Yeah, because I usually go out if it's above 20 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll go biking. Except when the last couple of weeks we had snow. It wasn't even that much snow. It was only like we had like 2 storms. One was about 3 inches, one was maybe 2 inches, except it never got above freezing for those 2 weeks. So none of the snow and ice could melt. And the roads were fine, but I know the side of the road where I cycle isn't going to be that fine when none of it had a chance to melt. So I've just been waiting to go out again. Electric bikes and scooters seem to be used more for transport but yeah. And like I said, every delivery place in Manhattan that used to have a bike now has an electric bike. They're all over the place. I live in a college town, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the bird scooters, not like Vespas.
Yeah, but the bird and other similar services, they're only used for joyriding. Although
Yeah,
I've seen a 40-year-old running in one, and he looked ridiculous.
I heard they had a big problem with those in Los Angeles.
Probably the same one they had in Paris.
Yeah, the people would just leave them everywhere, and they'd
Yeah,
clog up the sidewalks, and because you could just leave them anywhere. How about a video where they cleaned out a river somewhere in Europe and they pulled out a lot of bikes and scooters? Is that magnet fishing guy? I've seen him. He'd go magnet fishing. I think he was in Paris. I saw him, just a big magnet on a rope and throw it into the river, and he pulled out a motorcycle. Good evening, Wesley Curley too. I guess not even Jehovah's Witnesses print stuff out to spread the word. I actually see some of them at my train station sometimes.
Yeah, but they probably, can I interest you in a magazine to tell you about the Lord? They probably say, would you like to download our app?
I have to show you. This is Curry the Second. Okay.
Curry, not Curly.
I was like, Curly? Sorry about that, Curry. Here's one of the books since I ordered those ginseng roots, I decided to get a book with it. I don't know why they went with white on light blue, but it says Plans We Made. Let me show you. And let me read you a little description. Once again, I'll be reading white on light blue. I don't know what that's all about. It's by Simon Morton. He made sure to put his name in black. That's good. Moraton, an extra syllable in there. Plans We Made. Moraton is using, I love this hyperbole. Moraton is using the comics medium to its greatest extent, encouraging us to derive every possible ounce of meaning from the imagery he presents. Now, I haven't read this yet since I just got it today, but I'm not sure how much meaning I can derive out of some of this stuff. Where's a... I'm not sure if this is using the comics medium to its greatest extent.
Well, we could use them for Mad Libs. Okay.
Like I said, I haven't read it yet, so I'm really not judging it. But just flipping through, I gotta go, I don't know if that's using the medium to its largest extent. Then that was Richard Bruton, Forbidden Planet International. Then this one is from Andy Oliver, Broken Frontier, whatever that is. Quite simply, Moraton is one of the most important and intelligent creative voices in current UK small press comics. Okay. And you know me, I like the weird artsy stuff. I will ask Jesus to open it on February 20, if time allows, and for one day. Okay. Not quite sure what that means, but Jesus might tell us what this book means.
Well, 2006 was 18 years ago, so we missed the mark.
You pretending not to know what the vision is will not be regarded. Right.
Well, we know what the vision is. The vision was created by Jack Kirby in 1943.
And falling. So we'll have to see where this is going. But I got that along with the last two ginseng roots I was needing. Issue 7 and 9. And issue 7 was the one that I bought damaged. So it's got a little ding in the bottom corner. I was like, okay. That book full of lines is as bad as those goddamn poetry comics. Hey, that poetry comic won me over, mister. So maybe this one will too.
Sequential Geek bought that poetry comic.
Well, it was a regular issue. No, it was the last issue of... what? Endings? What was the name of that book? I can't remember the comic now. But it was the last issue of that series that W. Maxwell Prince was writing with a different artist every issue. So if you had it on your pull list, you're getting it. I will wait for the ginseng TPB. I might get that too. Because he said he's going to add stuff to that and change it and edit it. So I'll get to read the first draft of it.
They should market it as the ginseng tea PB.
And I really do like these little comics. And since I got it for cheap, I kid. Swan Song. That was the name of it. Yes. Swan Song. It was Swan Song. Yes, that was it. I wanted to say Ice Cream Man. Then I remembered it was W. Maxwell Prince's other book. I really do like these little comic format. I think it looks good like this. And since it'll be 1,000,000 pages, opening it up to watch the TPV version. Ba 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 ba. Satan said, sad and delicious. Jesus returned in the clouds with his angels, saying to all the world, this is time. And in a different voice said, sad and delicious. I don't know the name of who said sad and delicious. Satan. Okay. I feel guilty mentioning Jehovah's now.
Well, the Vision is an Android, so.
Yeah.
So there's no point in telling him.
We will get rid of him because I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
Ginseng Root 7 was my favorite book I read all this year. Okay. I have not read that one yet, being that I just got these today. What? I can't believe I ordered them on January 4th and then just completely forgot they existed. I guess ordering them was the same as having them in my mind. That kind of thing. Oh, by the way, and did you see, I have this note here. Albedo number 2. The
Albedo
first
number 2.
Usagi Yojimbo.
Ooh, you got it?
CGC 9.8. Just sold for $55,000.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. That's like what's funny to me is like no other issue of Usagi Yojimbo is worth anything. That one issue is worth a lot, but wow, 55, that's a lot. That is a lot. That guy was the opposite of a Russian sex bot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Was that a Dave Simbot? Yeah, I think so. Could have been.
Nah, Dave Sim makes a lot more sense. Or less.
But I was
depends on which issue of
yes, which issue of Notes from the President you were reading. But $55,000 for a 9.8 Usagi Yojimbo number 1. Wonder who bought it. And did someone buy it? Do you think somebody who's paid that much for Albedo number 2 is an Usagi Yojimbo fan? Or did they buy it? I can't imagine there's not that many people buying Usagi Yojimbo as an investment.
Right. Yeah, why would they know it exists, right?
Right, yeah.
Because they probably think that Usagi Yojimbo number 1 is the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo.
Man, that guy was just about to win me over before you deleted him. I was just about to stop praying to Crom. Yeah, he doesn't listen.
Crom gives you a strong arm and strength to face your enemies. Pray to him not, for he will not listen to you.
Crom. But yeah, he's got to be an Usagi Yojimbo fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody who buys, but that's a lot of freaking money.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely not for the Irma Felna story by Steve Galacci.
Yeah, I
Who's still
believe that
watching?
I think Albedo #2 has been reprinted. I'm not 100% sure because I don't keep track. It was Seth Rogen who bought it. Wow. I bet it will be his next animated movie.
Right.
Well, he can afford it. So,
But can he afford to spend money on it, producing an Usagi Yojimbo movie?
oh no, that'll be the bank's money or someone else's.
Mm,
Just kidding. It wasn't him. Okay. Yeah, we still
okay.
don't know who got it then.
Mhm. Right, but yeah, I mean,
The
if you if
Yojimbo
if
sale news confused me too. Yeah, that's just a lot.
because if you buy first Usagi Yojimbo, first Elf Quest, uh, first I don't know Nexus, first Destroyer.
Please, we will not ban him for for kidding us.
No, only if you start preaching about the Usagi Yojimbo's message.
When he's coming back to save us all, and
Hmm
Jay the demon will kill us. I finally remembered
hmm
Jay's name, the guy, the demon he was fighting in the last series, and many others. Jay. I bought a random football card too
hmm
for $1.50 shipped. I thought, being that I'm a Giants fan, an Eli Manning card from 2008. The shot where he's breaking out from almost being sacked so he can throw the helmet catch. Probably means nothing to Paulo, but us
Yes,
football fans, us NFL
yes,
football fans know what it is.
yeah. Sports ball.
Sports ball. You bought City of Glass last week, and Cardinals Cave has several. Oh, I brought up City of Glass last week, and Cardinals Cave has several times in the last 2 weeks. I heard it in another show this week, so I bought a copy. Okay. Looks like that has been reprinted a couple of times, including in Usagi Yojimbo Volume 1 Ronin TP. Yeah, I think I have it in I haven't looked at it in so long. Fantagraphics put out a 2-volume hardcover set of, I think, all of the Fantagraphics original stuff that it might be in. But being that I've never actually read it and it's just been sitting on my shelf for 20 years or so, however long ago it came out, I'm not sure. I sold my Mirage Turtles collection last week. Wow, the first Space Yojimbo appearance was there. My earliest Yojimbo is 8. Yeah, I remember seeing ads for Usagi Yojimbo and Albedo, and I always went, "Oh, that looks kind of cool. I should check that out." So when Usagi Yojimbo 1 came out, I picked that up. That was my first one. Pretty sure the Albedo stuff has been in a Fanta collection. Yeah, I think so. I think it has. And I know that that also reminded me of Kamiko Primer, the first Grendel.
Hmm
Can't remember which issue that was. 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there.
Yeah, one of those.
That was finally reprinted in a hardcover, I don't know, a decade ago, after Matt Wagner saying he never wanted it reprinted because it was so terrible.
No. He said he didn't say that. He said that he didn't want to reprint the pre-Devil by the Deed stuff just to make a quick buck because there was no
Okay.
reason for it. He did it back when it was Grendel's 20th anniversary.
Okay. I thought he didn't like it. I must be
No,
misremembering. It was a
no,
long time ago, I read
he had to bring up. It's like saying that I was embarrassed for having been 16 years old.
that.
Cause,
Well,
'cause, yeah,
sometimes for artists, it takes a long time to give their younger self a break. It really
mhm,
does. So many, especially when you're really young and improving year by year. You don't like to look back at when you're 20 years old, you don't like to look back at your 19-year-old stuff. When you're 24 years old, you don't always like to look back at your 22-year-old stuff. That's just the artistic ego because you're embarrassed by it because it wasn't very good.
mhm,
So that could have had something to do with it, but I don't know. Um,
yeah.
I did that some weeks ago when Stan Sakai was announced in Comic-Con Portugal.
Yeah, I'm not going to Comic Con Portugal. They moved
No?
back to the north. They moved back to the north of the north. So I'm not going to do a 200-mile trip just to go there. Also, the only reason I went to the past two Comic Cons is because I had an invite. Because I sure as hell was not going to pay $20 for a ticket. I paid $3 for a ticket to the Amadora Con. I'm not going to pay, and that one is actually about comics. I'm not going to pay $20 to be around all the Lord of the Rings fans.
You have number
Not even
one?
Lord of the Rings fans. They're TV fans.
Seth Rogen may buy it, but I do have number one, but it disappeared on me. I think I may have Raiders of the Lost Ark did. Either that or someone stole my Usagi Yojimbo number one. I think that's a long shot that happened, but it's not where it should be, which means it's somewhere in here. I don't know where. When you're 45 and people want to give you money for your 18-year-old work, sometimes the money outweighs the ego. Oh yeah, by the time you're 45, you've gotten over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking he could have, because I heard him say that so long ago. I read that he said that so long ago. I may be misremembering. So
well, it was the legend. Maybe he said it in the 90s.
Yeah,
but
that's when I would have read it in the 90s. So, like I said, he in the 90s he may have thought that. But like you said, by the time you're 45, you're like, whatever. I was, I was young once. It's okay.
Yeah, and it was a 20th anniversary, so yeah. Okay, let's celebrate 20 years of me doing this lousy comic.
By then he probably got over it. He's like, you know what? I'm good now. It doesn't matter that I didn't draw that exactly like I draw now.
Yeah, it's like when those cartoonists make a collection, early work collection, 1967, 1969, something like that. And it's the stuff that they did that they were doing in fanzines before they got famous. For the completists. And then you read, oh man, this sucks. These are terrible.
I only got 5 comics at the comic shop this week. It was a slow week. 2 were on my pull list. 1 I was going to put on my pull list and then forgot. And then 2 I picked up off the shelf. When you get over 60 and you wonder why you ever cared when anyone else thought about anything. Yeah. You're like, put it out. Jared, did you do any pre-Marvel fanzine work? I didn't do any fanzine work, but I made comics before my Marvel days, and they are terrible. I did them when I was 20, 21, 22, learning to draw comics. I still have them. They're not very good, and I couldn't look at them for a long, long time. But now I'm like, whatever. I can look at them. Doesn't matter. But they never saw the light of day. I had one thing published by Fantagraphics in Graphic Story Monthly. Issue number 4, sometime in there, one of my weird old comic strips that I did all through the 90s. That was the only one that was ever published. I can't remember what issue number it was in. I'm going to have to look. I'll have to look. It's on my shelf.
Or it's probably in the Grand Comics database. So
could be.
All right. So issue number 1. Ooh, this one has a Tardy cover.
It has a Tardy cover, I think.
Ward Kimball, Paul Olswang.
It may have been issue 4. I just can't remember. It's been so long.
Michael, Craig Maynard, Franquin, Rick Geary.
Okay,
this is number 1.
I have all the issues of it on my shelf. So
number 2, Olswang, Mark Lewis, Mort Kimball, Mark Franquin, Roger Langridge.
Nice. I'm doing a lot of 90s neon colored paintings lately. Your shirts are totally rad, Jared. Shows up neon on can. Yeah. It's one of my bright orange salmon ones. I'm doing.
Beth Moriarty, Mort Kimball, Franquin, Dali, Rick Geary. Issue number 4. Jack Jackson cover. So Jackson, Scott
Maybe I just
Snyder,
remember the first issue cover.
Craig Maynard. Here you are. Issue number 4.
It is issue number 4. Organic.
Organics. Yeah. 11 pages.
There we go. I had a discussion online with a guy because I said in the group, Usagi needs to be published in Portugal. Why not take advantage of the coming of the author to publish it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. You are in between Minor Memories and the Art of Adolescence by Craig Maynard and part 4 of Nestor Burma Volume 1 by Tardy.
The one time I talked to Gary Groth, he said it was the weirdest fucking shit he'd ever seen. I was like, yeah, probably. And that's the stuff I was using to create AI art. I remember discussing that months ago.
You could have told him, I have a secret to tell you. It was scripted by Arlen Allison. see what he would say about that.
Usagi. But the one that I picked up off the shelf that I was thinking about getting but then didn't pull it was Ghost Machine, which is the new, what does it say here? Welcome to the first fully shared creator-owned universe. This is the Jeff Johns project that was Geiger and Junkyard Joe. And what was the other one he was doing? Geiger, Junkyard, Nocterra. That was motivational. Yes, it was. And he invited other people to join his crew in this. So he's got Jason Fabuk is drawing a story with him. Peter J. Tomasi and Francis Manapool. Peter J. Tanasi and Peter Snedberg.
Sneberg. Yeah, it's Danish.
Okay. Yeah, JBJE is just not usual.
The J is a Y.
The J is a Y. Hyde Street, Ivan Rice or Ivan Reese, whichever way you say it.
Ivan Reis.
Reis. So there's and the reason I was kind of iffy about buying this, despite the fact that I get Geiger and Junkyard Joe, is I was like, is this just going to be a preview book? And it was pretty much just a preview book.
How much did it cost?
What was it? $5, and it's good. It's a good feeling comic. It's about 64 pages. So we get introductions to all. But I of course now the good thing about it was I now know which ones I don't want to pick up. There's a couple of like family-oriented books in the back that I was like, yeah. Which one is it? Nice artwork. What's the name of the book? The Rocket Fellers. I guess they're a family that goes on adventures, and this one is by Ghost Machine's family universe is full of heart, heroics, and humor. Its wonderful, vibrant world of relatable characters and extraordinary circumstances, all focusing on the importance of family, both born and found. Those are the ones I can do without. I don't need the family universe. That's more for a general audience than jaded old me.
Creator-owned universes don't really work.
There's usually no point to them.
Yeah.
But I understand for marketing. And then there's Dire Wolf, who is this woman on the cover.
Yeah. The last one that they tried doing was Black Hammer.
Yeah.
But
and there's also the Handbook of the Marvel Universe pages.
Okay.
In it too for a bunch of the characters. But Dire Wolf was okay. That was the one by is this the Jason Fabuk one? Rook Exodus is the name. I don't know why it's called Rook Exodus and then she's called Dire Wolf. That one was confusing how it was named. And this one takes place on like a faraway planet. Where's the? Oh, here we go. I'll give you their explanation. A struggling farmer from Earth was given a second chance on the planet Exodus, a terraformed world where every aspect of nature is controlled by humanity, including the winged scavengers who plagued his crops. Now called Rook, the farmer became one of the wardens, those who wear helmets. There's your helmet. Um, Capable of commanding an animal species. But when the world's engine failed, the power of the wardens fell into the wrong hands. Those who could afford to fled, forcing those who left behind to choose between trying to escape this war-torn world before its destruction or fighting to save it. So I guess it's a post-apocalyptic story just on another planet. Oh, there's Chris Geruso. Good evening, Chris, if you show up. There he is.
Hey, Chris.
Good evening, Chris.
Hey
So
guys.
we've got these. There's Rook and Swine. Swine controls the pigs and the wild boars, and Rook controls brooks, crows, ravens, and rooks. He controls the Corvus brachyrhinocosis. I guess that's the bird Latin name for the crow species. But this was an okay story, but it's kind of like, they all control these animals and they're in a post-apocalyptic world trying to save it, I guess. But it was only like a quick introduction. So, and Junkyard Joe was, he's not in this one, but the Junkyard Joe miniseries was my favorite of the Jeff Johns series. And Geiger I had been buying. Geiger's like a B. It's a solid B. So I'll probably be checking that one out again. Let's see, what do we have here? The Ghost Machine cover reminded me of Black Lamb 1 from Vertigo Helix back in the day. Oh, and they have a whole bunch of these covers too. I just picked up the one with the chick on it because I picked up a theme. I'll show you though I don't know if I can quite call her a hot woman because I don't think that's particularly hot, that outfit and drawing. But that's the theme to the ones I picked up. The Zenoscope covers I picked up this week. But what was I about to say about this one? I don't know. Eric, let's see. Yeah, got covers giving me Catwoman knockoff Catwoman vibes. Eric P. Yeah, that I can understand. Tight black leather.
Is the cover by Jason Fabok?
Yes, this is Fabok.
Right, because he has that Gary Frank vibe.
Yeah. There are so many, because also Image Comics shipped twice every comic shop's order of this Ghost Machine for free. So there are copies of it everywhere. Now, if your comic shop ordered 10 copies, they got 20. And there was 5 or 6 cover, at least 5 or 6 cover. Wilson is uploading shorts on YouTube. That's what he's doing? He's busy. Are they going to cross over? I assume so. I know all the Jeff Johns stuff is going, because the Jeff Johns stuff, where's his map? The Jeff Johns has had a plan for this before he invited everybody else in. But there, the Unnamed is the name of his heroes, and they overlap in this is like it tells you 1776 Redcoat becomes immortal, and he's going to cross over with Geiger. 1864 the Northerner begins his hunt. He's going to cross over with Geiger. 1944 the Monster is made. I don't think I've seen that yet. Junkyard Joe comes online in 72. I think he's going to be in one of the crossover ones. American Widow X, don't know who that is. Fire Ghost, don't know who that is. That's present day. 5 years from now, the Unknown War erupts, and 25 years from now, Geiger walks across America. So I know within Jeff Johns' own universe, they're going to cross over.
Yeah, 25 years ago.
Direwolf seems like it should be an Avatar book.
Yeah, but 25 years ago, I mean, all of those comics that Johns is creating, they're their own genre. So if he wants to make them, just make them. If he wants to do it crossover between two of them, also just make them. They don't have to make sense within the context of a universe. I mean, when Mike Barron had a Badger guest star in Nexus, it didn't make sense. It was just there because it was his. He could use it, do it. Doesn't really matter. It's not in the context of a universe.
Captain.
Even though Mike Mignola did the Hellboy, expanded the Hellboy universe, it expanded naturally. It didn't decide to set up a universe.
It's tough to plan a universe, but we'll see how it does. Probably won't matter that much that it's a shared universe. That's usually what ends up happening. So I'll just buy the books if they're good. Captain Mikasu. Hey, never been able to see this live. Oh, welcome aboard. Just want to say I love your channel. Also, please smash that like button. There you go. Glad you love the channel. Spoilers, Chris was that Jesus bot you banned. Chris missed it earlier in the show. We had some Jesus bot spamming us about Jesus. Or at least it didn't seem to be an actual
How do you know it wasn't the real Jesus?
You're right.
He wasn't called Jesus. What was he called?
After all, Jesus, English would be his second language, so
or third.
Third.
His name was Wesley Curry II.
There we go.
Weird name for Jesus.
As I recall, Chris was drawing ASM 255 cover a couple of weeks ago. That issue was slated for a facsimile edition in April. Were you drawing it because the facsimile edition was upcoming, Chris?
I was not. I am just as surprised to hear this information as you are.
Which one was ASM 255?
The Super Apes, space, like a what? Okay, Red Ghost and the Super Apes. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was such a banger.
Jesus reads comics? Dope. Yeah. Word of advice: never get into a comic shop pissed off. Never get into a comic shop pissed off with something. You end up buying 8 #1 issues you never heard of. Damn, I even bought the new Bendis book at Dark Horse.
Which one is it?
Don't go into your comic shop mad. Just like don't go shopping hungry. I went shopping today after lunch. This is thick book for $4.99. Yeah, it's a good thing. It also has a decent cover stock, so that'll always make me want to. When I pick up a book and it feels good in my hands, that makes me want to pick it up more than those paper thin covered ones.
So even as a preview, it's worth the $5.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good. I don't know that these were all the first 8 pages of the story. I think these just may have been preludes and then you don't have to. It's nice that you have read this, but I don't think they're going to repeat these 8 pages, but they might. Who knows? But it also gave me a good idea. Like I said, the best thing about it was it gave me a good idea of the stuff I didn't want to read. I don't have the families. I didn't realize they were doing a family line. Oh, there was also the red coat in here in the Geiger story that they gave you a little piece of. So what are you working on tonight, Chris?
I'm working on a a mini Marvel recreation of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition.
That's going to keep you busy for a while.
Right now I'm on this one.
What issue number is that?
This is issue 12.
Have you done all the other ones? Okay.
So I'm doing preliminary drawings. Because it's so insane.
Yeah.
Trying to make these compositions work. So I'm doing like all the figure compositional stuff digitally, and then I can have something to trace off and then refine on the. So I'm still just working digital right now.
Okay. It's tracing it off. I've done that too.
I don't know if you can see. Is that showing up?
Yeah, it's showing up.
Mhm.
We can see that you're working out the composition digitally. Are you going to print that out and then draw over it? Yeah, let me get you bigger so we can see better. There we go. So you're drawing digitally right over the scan of the book or picture, photograph.
Oh, you do a great Space Phantom.
Oh, you do a great Space Phantom. Words I've never
I'm
heard
serious.
before.
I'm serious. Or is
Thank
it
you.
Star Fox?
That's a
No,
great
Star Fox
Space
is flying.
Phantom.
Yes. Yeah, it is a great Space Phantom. Yeah. And so is Star Fox.
They
Star
have
Fox.
similar hair.
Huh. Now, what's the step after this?
Print it.
Do you print it out on a piece of Bristol, or do you print it out and light box it?
It's going to be printing out and light boxing.
Okay.
All of my experimentation of printing blue line directly onto Bristol has amounted to nothing but failure and frustration.
I've been doing it since like 1997. I don't understand.
How do you do it?
I open the pencil drawing in Photoshop. I use in grayscale, right? Scan it in grayscale, or I guess if you're in there in color, doesn't matter. And then you drop out the bottom 10 or 15% in curves to drop out all the lighter lines and to drop out the color of the pages. And then you turn it into a duotone of 25% blue. And then you print that duotone, which gives you just the single blue line onto Bristol, no plain paper setting.
So the problem that I have and that we've had here in the studio is we can't get it to print in the right place. It won't center properly or at the right size. So you can't depend on it to go exactly the way you want it to go. And
yes,
like I need precision.
Yes, you can.
I'm just saying that's okay. You can.
I can.
I'm telling you the trouble that we've had.
You want to know how you do it? First of all, you can just hit center. Or you can print it on a bigger piece of paper than you need and then cut the paper. That's the easiest way. You can print, like, let's say you're wrapping that around a cover, right? So you would print it out on an 11 by 17 piece of paper with a blue line set up around the edge of your artwork, and you cut right along that blue line. Now you've got it the right exact size. So you can do it that way. Or let's say, and I also find that there should be a centering function in Photoshop.
There should be.
Just tell it to print it in the center. If that doesn't work, you can go to your page setup and tell it what you want your margins to be.
Jared's from a planet where printers always work the way you want them to.
They don't. It's not the printer. It's the software that you're using to print. The printer doesn't have anything to do with it.
It's your planet.
And also, I find that just by default, oh God, what's the name of it? Affinity Photo centers better than Photoshop. But yes, you can get it to print exactly where you.
That's as much of it as
all the cards that I make. That I have to get a baseball card size thing to line up.
I believe that you can do it.
You just don't believe you can do it?
I know that I can't.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm saying you can do it, Duffy Moon.
Yeah,
Eric
I'm
B.
no
asks,
Duffy.
are the books not bagged at your LCS? No, my LCS does not bag the books. They'll, if you want them to, they will, but I usually buy my own bags and bag them. I buy my bags from the LCS and bag them when I get home. But some people do have their books bagged and boarded. That it costs that you to say, I don't know, an extra quarter a book to have them bagged and boarded for you, or whatever it is. I don't even know. but I do it myself. Though I don't use
That's
board.
the equivalent of a restaurant markup on soda.
Yeah.
That's the comic shop equivalent is the markup on bags and boards.
Right. For them to do it for you on individual issues.
Yeah.
Paulo Costa. It's called Masterpiece with Alex Maleev. I don't remember what that's referring to now. It's been too long.
The new Bendis book at Dark Horse.
Ah, okay.
Well, I guess since Bendis is now back doing his own stuff, it's finally readable again.
Needs more words, in my opinion, to be worth $4.99 along with decent artwork. Well, this has got plenty of words. I mean, if you like reading Official Handbook of Marvel Universe stuff, we got lots of words for you here.
Yeah, when DC did the new line of 80-page giants in the early 2000s, they were $5 for 80 pages, and they were mostly character profiles as well. But they were worth the $5. I think they were. I bought a few.
Yes, the feel of the book makes a big difference to me as well. Yeah, the better quality, the more automatically I'll appreciate the book overall. 100%. That's why I haven't bought many Dark Horse books in recent years. You pick them up and they're just flimsy. I'm told Marvel books are the same way, but I barely pick up Marvel books, so because I don't buy any. Anyone know what happened to that comic company that was just releasing the stuff in Walmart, Bass Reeves? I don't know. I'm not even sure if there's a Walmart around me. There might be one like 20 or 30 minutes away, but I never go to I never go to a Walmart, so I haven't.
Wasn't that
I
line
know they
related
had those,
to the Brightwazers?
What was that?
Wasn't that comic company related to the Brightwazers?
I don't know. They had those 3-packs of stuff and Walmart exclusives and things. I am not sure. Star Fox is almost Tezuka's Space Boy. Astro Boy. There we go.
Astro Boy, not Space Boy.
Astro Boy. I've never read Tezuka's Astro Boy. I don't even know how available it is over here. I know there's been some editions over the years, but it's not something I've seen a lot.
What was the latest reprint? Let's see. 2008. No, 2015.
2015?
Yeah, 2015 started a line of omnibuses from Dark Horse, presently up to volume 7. So they're probably doing everything.
Oh, okay. So they're doing a lot. I get some Marvel books. The Power Pack book from this week was good. And yes, they don't feel that hefty. Yeah. Because I've heard, haven't heard it in a while, but I've heard complaints over the years how the ink comes right off the cover on Marvel books onto your fingers. So that's a problem for people.
I think the French are doing the original Astro Boy. I know they were doing the original Captain Harlock.
Speaking of too many words, though, instead of not enough words, this one has too many words. And once again, this one does not feel good to me. Boom. This is a Boom Studios book. Often I don't think their books are very, but I bought this one because of the Charlie Adler art, and it turns out this is issue 12 and it's the end of the series. I wasn't sure how long this was going for. 12 issues, it turns out. And I think Charlie Adler was killing it on the art. But I think Simon Spurrier overwrites. And by overwrites, I mean that, let me see if I can give you an example here.
I've seen worse.
It's like he gets his point across and then gets his point across one or two more times. Okay. So first of all, this story is about John Constantine's niece. Not literally, but you can tell. That's who she is. And at the beginning of the story, John Constantine dies, so his niece takes over fighting these supernatural battles. She's a grown-up. She's not a kid. And she's got this... Right now, she's like talking to this frenemy of her uncle, John Constantine's, who's trying to give her this potion so she can feel nothing. And she's like, I don't know if I want to feel. So she's in pain all the time because of all these bad ones. And he's I'll give you this potion that'll make you feel nothing. And she's like, I don't know if I want to do that. And so he's talking to her about her father. Top of this page right here, she's describing her uncle. In all the years I knew him, I only once saw my uncle truly human. Okay, that's distinct and to the point. Then it goes on just talking. This was after my mom and dad died, after I bounced around the care system like an abuse magnet. And it's like, that was after I bounced around the care system. Okay, like an abuse magnet? All right. Why? One day, after he came back and scooped me up, one day I bunked school and went up to the heath. I started talking to my parents. And it's just like, she's telling a boring story about her going up a hill. And then her uncle just rambles on for all those balloons, saying nothing. Fuck am I supposed to do? I ain't no dad. If I try not to fuck her, he has to take over his daughter's care because her parents died. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 balloons about him thinking he's going to screw it up. After the first 3 balloons, we got the point. But no, he gives us 7 balloons. And that's why I think he writes too much in this. Otherwise, it's good, but he repeats himself a lot. He hammers his points home through repetition. And I personally
kind of like what you're doing right now.
Yep, exactly like that. You're a troublemaker, Geruso.
I just destroyed you.
Chris Geruso destroys Jared, who thinks he knows what he's talking about.
Man, if someone starts making videos of us with that stuff, like, then we've made it.
Videos never live up to the headline either.
No, no.
So it's like the person made a point, the other person ignored the point.
Yeah.
That's what it always ends up being. Let's see, what do we got here now? Captain says, I only pick up Dark Horse books in collected edition nowadays. Yeah. Dark Horse hardcovers are pretty affordable too.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of did you guys see like the Marvel Epic collections that started out at like $30 are now up to like $45?
They started, I remember them starting at 40, but so I'm not supposed to, they're 45 now. I like the essentials, but
they started at around 30. The original.
No. The first ones were $39.99.
They were? I remember them being 30.
Yeah. Because I bought a couple of them in the first year, but I haven't bought many because either got to the point in my life I didn't have money, but I never managed to. There never was a schedule that I liked that I could buy the Epic collections, and all of a sudden there were a gazillion of them.
Yeah. I've bought some of those digitally when they've gone on sale for like $2. But they didn't have a sale this year, so I didn't get any.
No, but as usual, Marvel has a terrible publication plan for their reprints.
Yeah.
They let stuff go out of print. Marvel, why?
Tit Goblin asks Chris, what's your work schedule like? Do you ever stop? Russo's touchdown.
I'm trying to take it easy these days, and so I'm going to bed at a decent time. Most of my work doesn't start till like noon,
Okay.
and then I just had dinner, so I'm like
half your day
drawing
is
as long.
wasted. So you start work
Well,
at
no,
noon?
because before noon I get up and I try to work out and eat. So yeah. After we hang up, I'll probably go home and just watch TV.
So do you work from? Did you say what time do you usually eat dinner?
5:30.
Okay, so you work from noon to 5 or so.
Yeah.
And then come back after dinner for a couple hours, maybe.
Yeah, if I'm feeling like I won't fall asleep, then I might as well work until I'm exhausted.
Until you can watch some TV.
Yeah.
Do you hear from any of the old gang? Hear from Greg Schiegel since he's been to Florida?
Talk to Greg all the time.
Okay.
He lives in Atlanta.
He lives in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember him moving at some point from Florida.
Near Atlanta. Near Atlanta. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah. And he's doing good.
Does he have family there? Because I thought his family was in Florida. Or maybe that's why he moved to Georgia.
he's from Florida. He has family in Florida, but he also has family in Atlanta.
Okay. And Jacob's still in Brooklyn? Or no, Queens?
Jacob is in Queens. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Smitty's down there with you?
Smitty's here with me. I think Tim Smith is in Brooklyn.
Okay, he's still in Brooklyn. Is he still working for Marvel?
Might be.
Because last I knew, he was like their web editor or something. I don't know if he ever left that.
he might still be doing that.
Who knows? TS3. I haven't seen him self-publish anything in a while, so.
Yeah. Well, he created he was the main guy on
what was that?
Black?
One? Yeah.
Black with Kwanzaa.
Right. But he wasn't drawing it. He was a writer on it, right?
I don't know. I think Jamal Igle drew the first.
Is that? But what happened? I remember that book made some waves when it first came out. Then it kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened with it.
There was a lot of.
Maybe they got it to the point where they're talking to like making it into a series or a movie or something. That's my guess.
And then it never happened.
Because like, why else even do comics?
Good question. I think there's more young people who want to make comics than want to read comics.
Yeah. Yeah, you go to a comic convention and it's people who make comics and people who are trying to make comics, and that's it.
Yeah, and even teaching at school, there's a lot of the students who want to make comics. So it's like, whoa. But I don't know who's buying them. I picked up some old cartoons, Star Marvel books. You guys know any bullpen Star people from Star Comics? Who was it? What's his name? The editor of Star Comics, who came from Harvey, Sid Jacobson, was still there when I started at Marvel. He was a good guy. So I knew Sid Jacobson back in the early 90s from Star Comics. I don't know who else. I don't know if there was anyone else who did Star Comics one. But our friend who we were just talking about, Jacob Chabot and Greg Schiegel revived some Star Comics characters in one of their comics for Marvel.
Yeah,
Which one was
their
that?
X-Babies.
X-Baby. They brought back Terry Planet. What was that guy?
I think they brought back I think they brought all of them back. Planetary, Royal Roy.
So we may not have known any of the original Star Comics people, but we knew the next generation of Star Comics.
Yeah, I was just a kid when Star Comics were coming out.
Yeah, like I said, Sid Jacobson was a good guy. I think he's still around. Not a young man. And the book that I read
was done by the same guy.
What was that?
Most of the stuff on Star Comics was done by the same guys, which were probably Sid Jacobs.
Right. What's his name? Warren Kremer did some stuff.
Warren Kremer, yeah, he was the artist on pretty much everything except Misty, which was different. Misty was for young girls. She was Millie the Model's niece. She was made by that was made by Trina Robbins.
Okay. Well, he was good, that Warren Kremer. He was really, really good. And the thing I reread this week was The Night Eaters by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, who are the Monstrous. This came out when? In 2022? And I got came to my local comic shop. I got the signed edition. I completely forgot I got the signed edition because I'm not a signature person. And also, when I got to the end of it, I was like, it said, Night Eaters Book 2, coming fall 2023. And I went, I don't remember that ever coming out. And I went to Amazon and looked it up, and sure enough, it came out. I'm like, how? I never heard word one about Volume 2 coming out, which is really weird because I buy Monstrous whenever it comes out, and I bought the whatever other series. Sometimes they did little micro series, and I never once saw Night Eaters Volume 2 advertised or whatever in their book. So I find it strange that it came out and I didn't even know about it. But this is one of those books that's better the second time through. For those of you who don't know Sana Takeda's, let me show you a little of her artwork that she does. Looks like her artwork on Monstrous, same this penciled, I think she colors over pencils. And the pencils can be loose and sketchy at times. But it's generally pretty well done. She's a good storyteller. But this is one of those books that is better the second time through because you know what the heck's going on. It's on a much smaller scale. It's in the lost tradition of the plot is what the heck's going on in this story. Of course, there's resolution in this one, but so for 90% of the story, you don't really know what's going on as a reader. I guess you'd call it like as a horror story, right? Is that what they have here? Oh, this is the Diamond exclusive limited run of 3,000 copies I got of this one. I guess there was no limited edition one of the second edition. So my comic shop didn't get it in. It doesn't have categories, but I guess you'd call it a horror com. But really, for the first 2/3 of it, it was kind of slice of life with maybe some horror undertones, and then it turned into horror, and you're like, "What's going on? I don't know." And then they resolved it, but It's mostly the story about a mother and father from Hong Kong and their 2 kids who they've been raising in America. And it takes place in 2022. But the mother is very sort of standoffish and harsh and not very emotional. And the father is kind of the loving one who's very touchy-feely and feelings-oriented with the kids, but he defers to the mother when she's being harsh. He's always like, listen to your mother, pay attention to your mother. And the kids are, I think, college age. One of them has dropped out of med school. I think the other, there's a boy and a girl, is still in school. And they both work at a restaurant during COVID. They're trying to keep the restaurant open, their family restaurant. And the mother is a gardener. And I think they live in Queens. I think it's Queens. And across the street from them is this creepy, overgrown house that's been abandoned, that hasn't been able to sell for 10 or 15 years. And it's just overgrown, and everybody who goes into it just gets frightened and walks out. So there's the horror aspect, but they don't really go into that to the end. So 75% of the story is this mother, father, and kids and their relationship between them. At some point, the mother makes them go into the backyard across the street and they dig up these old bones, which scares the kids because it's some monster's old bones. They don't know what's going on. There's a couple of flashbacks to the mother and father when they first met, and you know something's different about them, but you don't know what. And then, and the final climactic scene, the mother and father bring the kids across the street to the scary house and lock them in there. And all these giant tentacles come out of the walls and grab the kids. And the kids are spending the next 20 pages fighting off tentacles, going, what's going on? It's a dream. It's a dream. You know, this tentacle house is batting them around until they finally manage to get free and start yelling at their mother, of course, for sending them into this death house. And that's when we finally find out what the mother and father are. And it turns out that the mother and father, well, the father is a demon, and the mother is the one who eats demons, whatever that means. Except she was eating the demon in the house. I guess she came, but it turned out they were like, what do you think happens to the demons when humans summon them and things go wrong? So these two, the mother and father, have just been, demons walking around, living their life for like a couple thousand years. Just, not really getting up to anything because they got nothing to do. They're demons just trapped on Earth, hanging out. And like the mother was just living her life in Hong Kong, and the father ran into her and was like, ooh, I think they could tell they were each other demons. And then they became a couple. And then 20 years later, they decided to try and have kids to see what that would be like, because they're demons in human bodies, but they don't grow old. At one point, they had to shapeshift to make themselves look old. So throwing their kids to that demon in the house was their way of telling their kids what they were. The kids thought they were superheroes. They're like, are we superheroes? Are we bulletproof? Like, no, stop it. So the story was good like this. It was better the second time through because for 75% of the story, you don't know what's going on. So I don't know what volume 2 is about, besides the kids maybe learning that they're not really, they've been raised as human beings and think they're human beings. But I guess they found out they weren't. So we'll see. There's supposedly going to be 3 volumes of it. I guess the second volume came out and I didn't know it. So maybe the 3rd volume will come out in 2024. But it was good. This was a reread for me. Liked it better the second time around because I knew what was going on. But that's the problem with those type of books where you don't know what's going on, is they're hard to get into. Lost. I think Lost invented the genre. Though this is, like I said, on a much smaller scale. Have either of you ever read Monstrous or any of Takeda and Liu's stuff?
Monstrous was published here. The art looked interesting, but it's not usually my favorite subject matter.
Nope.
You're from Europe. You should like all the royal family shenanigans and Monstrous. It's us Americans who don't like that, even though there's plenty who do.
Speaking of European, did you guys know that the most important comic book convention in the world is going on right now?
No, the wrong Earth.
The wrong Earth. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll hear about the most important comic book convention, then we'll hear about the wrong Earth.
Angoulême is going on this weekend. They've already announced the Grand Prix winner.
I was going to say, is that the one in Paris, the most important?
No, it's not in Paris. It's in Angoulême, which is like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
But imagine a city of 8,000 people and then 80,000 people descend on it because of comic books.
Yeah, isn't there a giant one in Tokyo too?
There may be. Yeah.
I think there's like, which may be the largest one in the world or something. I don't know.
There's one in Italy, in Lucca, and it's some beautiful palaces and chateaus. But have you guys ever heard of a British cartoonist called Posy Simmons?
I wonder if Sada Takeda only comes out of the ground every 16 years to do comics. Cicada joke. Have you ever gone to it, Paulo?
One day I will.
And good evening to you, Mrs. Missing Mars.
Although a friend of mine is there, I'm gonna press him for maybe I'll do a video. I did one with him a few years ago where it was showing all the good stuff that he bought there. You can go to Angoulême. The plan is, I'm only gonna buy 3 or 4 books, and then you come back with a crate that you have to ship by mail to your house. But that's what I was told. So I may have to become rich first.
And how many people show up to this French?
Tens of thousands of people.
To a town of 8,000?
Yeah. Nobody sleeps in the town except for the guests. The authors.
They also be around the town.
Yeah, a lot of the authors there are guests, so they have all expenses paid. Then they have art exhibits about them.
Mm-hmm.
And the art exhibits are all over the town, but you can walk from one to the other, and it takes you days to see all of the ones you want. And I think most of them are open to the public. You don't even have to buy a ticket. But I'm not gonna say that's for everyone. But I think most of them are open to the public.
Okay.
A few years ago, they did an exhibit on the guy who did the painted covers for all of Marvel's French editions, Jean Frisano.
I was going to say he's different than Alex Ross.
Yeah, different. What he would, for example, take a scene from one of the regular comics and change the point of view or the angle, and he's got a style that it still looks comic booky, but it makes the scene look very metallic, And they did an exhibit on him. The publisher was Lug, and they had the rights to Marvel for many, many years.
Marvels. And the Wrong Earth, Chris. Did you have some work in there?
No, but it's some new stuff that I'm reading.
Okay.
The new series is out, and Wrong Earth is.
I think is that the Batman type story?
Yeah, the premise of Wrong Earth is, what if the Adam West Batman and the Christian Bale Batman switched universes?
And
but in this,
which company is that again?
This is Ahoy Comics.
Ahoy Comics. Yeah, you've done some work for Ahoy Comics, I remember.
I have, yes. But so we've got the Adam West style Dragonfly Man,
right?
And the Christian Bale gritty Dragonfly.
I think I read the first volume of that. It was pretty good stuff. My friend Rob likes that stuff a lot, so I was reading some of it. Is that the first 2 issues? What volume is that?
The first 2 issues of the newest miniseries. I'm not sure which. Let's see. Well, it's the We Could Be Heroes. We Could Be Heroes.
Okay, that's the sub. We Could Be Heroes. Okay. Yeah, it's like volume numbers don't exist anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, if you haven't read it, there's a trade of the first stuff. It's really good. If you like
fun stuff.
If you like comics, it looks great. Jamal Igle.
Right. He draws well. Tom Pyre, right?
Tom Pyre is the writer.
Pyre.
Pyre. Yeah.
Like Meyer with a P.
Yeah.
Correct.
Has Paulo been to the convention he speaks of?
Not yet.
Not yet. He plans on going someday.
Well, I have to. Here's the thing. I have to take I have to fly to Paris, and then I have to go back down to the south of France by train. But then I need a transport from where I'm sleeping to the town where the convention is. So it's complicated.
Because you can't drive across the Mediterranean.
No, I don't need to drive across the Mediterranean. It's
because you can't drive across the Mediterranean.
No, you can't. But I don't need to.
Oh, that's right. All of a sudden, I had you in North Africa. All of a sudden, I switched Morocco and Portugal in my mind.
Yeah, that works. Americans in geography. No, it should be a 16-hour drive.
Okay. Piece of cake.
In Portugal, we complain when we have to do a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, I've seen
2 hours. Oh, that's too far away. But no point in going there.
I've seen TikToks made by English people talking about American people and driving and saying, you know, when you American people who think you're an hour away from someplace, you're near it. Because an hour's drive for Americans is nothing. Because like people ask me all the time, "Are you from London? Well, are you near London?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm 2 hours from London." "Oh, you're near London then." He's like, "Huh?"
Nope. No, here's the thing: if you're near London, it does take you 2 hours to get to the center of London, but it takes you 45 minutes to get 60 miles away.
Yeah, I always say. Away. People ask me how long it takes me to get to New York City. I say it takes me half an hour to get to the George Washington Bridge. Anything after that?
Who knows? You have to explain to people what the George Washington Bridge is and how does it relate to where you are.
Well, most people around here know where it is.
Because New York is freaky because it's in islands.
Yes, and there's so many bridges and tunnels, and they need more. They finally got permission to put a 3rd train tunnel between Penn Station and New Jersey, and the money, because they've needed a 3rd tunnel for 40 years. Because if something happens in one of the tunnels, which it always does, things get backed up for hours and hours and hours.
One thing that I've noticed in many European cities who have rivers. The city is on both sides of the river.
Yeah.
But in Portugal, they're not. If your city is on one side of the river, on the other side of the river is where the barbarians live.
So Chris's stuff looks great. Teen Titan-esque. Not my style, but still looks great, says Friar Tuck. Yeah. Mountains and distance like for Paulo. How to go over mountains. I complain with 3 hours here in the U. Oh yeah, I'm not one of these people who can drive long distances either. Like 3 hours for me is a long drive. I'm turning into that in the U.S. Yeah.
I was at the Indianapolis 500, and I sat down to a journalist from Iowa, and on the day before before carburation day, there was nothing going on at the track, so she was going back home for the day. Oh, and how long do you take to get from Indiana to Iowa? Oh, just 6 hours. Just 6 hours. I'm not going to drive anywhere for 6 hours and then come back the next day.
People kept pointing out and you can drive for 11 hours in Texas and still be in Texas.
Yeah, you
need
can't drive
to invent
for
flying
11
cars
hours
on the East Coast. Yeah, and it's like New York State is a big state, and people always say, when it comes to the NFL, the Buffalo Bills are the only New York team that actually plays in New York State. But if you're in New York City, around that area, there's like 6 NFL teams that are closer to you than the Buffalo Bills. That's how far away Buffalo is from New York City.
There's
like
New York City and New York
Philadelphia's
State.
Closer, DC's closer. It's like Pittsburgh is like 30 miles further away than Buffalo, and Pittsburgh's all the way on the west side of Pennsylvania. So it's like Buffalo's really far away from New York City. It's not close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good 10-hour drive, I think, from New York City. It's
when you go to Manhattan and you talk to people and you say, "I'm from Rockland County," do they say that you're from upstate New York?
Oh yeah, they do. If they know where it is, they don't, which they usually don't. People who've lived in New York City their entire lives have no idea what is 10 miles up the Hudson. They don't know.
Westchester, that's like
Westchester,
rednecks.
they know because there's some trains that go there.
Mm-hmm.
Rockland, they don't. You got to take 2 trains to go there. Then forget it. New Yorkers, there's a lot of New Yorkers who don't know what Jersey City is.
Okay,
and Jersey City is just on the other side of the Hudson River. I mean, it's like Jersey City and Brooklyn are kind of the same thing, except one's in New Jersey.
Yeah. No, if you look at the map of the northeastern U.S., I mean the way that the states the state borders were drawn make absolutely no sense.
No. Comic Crack, love long drives. Drove up in Northern Ontario for a gig once. Couple of hours of no radio signal or phone signal. It was glorious. You better like long drives up there in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
It was 8 hours to my grandparents when I was a kid, and we never left the state. So 5 or 6 hours isn't a problem for me. Wow. Buffalo considered Western New York. Yeah. But if you're from New York City, all of New York is upstate, even Western New York. Mm-hmm. As a kid, I always wanted to go to New Jersey because of Dracula's castle. Upstate, in my opinion, is Albany area. That's even still central. That's central New York is its actual area, Albany. That ain't even upstate yet. That's how big, New York is.
And if I can ever go back to the United States, I want to go to Oswego, which is in up there in the lakes.
They call that Swigo, if you're from there. I knew someone who was from there. Swigo is what. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't even pronounce the O.
Because I want to watch the super modifieds.
The rest of us in the state called it Oswego, but they just called it Swigo.
There's an Oswego in Oregon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'll have to check how the Native American language families were distributed. Maybe there's a relation.
Want to see some art cards I got this week?
Yeah.
I got a 3 art card set off of eBay. I occasionally get these. Let me pull them out of their plastic so they don't shine. But these are original art by Maria Corday. I can't remember. Cherry Blossoms, Girl in Kimono. So there's the center one. Let's see, does this one go this way or this way? I think this one goes this way.
Yeah.
And then we got one over here. Whoops. Hold on. I got to hold those like that. Then we got another one over here. Whoop, hold on. No, I got those wrong.
No.
She goes in the middle. That I know.
Yeah.
Right? Hold on. Those almost look like they go together. She.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Whoops. There we go. Those are the 3. They cost like I think it was $15 for the set. Most art cards go between $5 and $10, but watercolor. They just caught my eye as I was looking on. Whoops. As I was looking on eBay for some art cards. So I said, I haven't bought any in a while. I'll get some. You know what? I always print my name as well as sign it, maybe, so people can read it. Because I think Maria is her first name. And Koretskey, maybe? Koretsky? Maria Koretsky? Sounds like it could be.
Yeah, Koretsky.
Oh, there's an A at the end of this one. Koretskaya. Koretskaya. Maria Koretskaya.
All right. So she really is from Eastern Europe, because in Slavic languages, your surname as a female form.
Ah. MK. It looks like she signs them. But yeah, I love finding nice little pieces of art on eBay and picking them up. So there was a nice that was my buy for the week of art cards. Have you sold any art cards recently, Chris? I know you used to, but I don't know if you've made any.
Yeah, actually, well, somebody had asked me to do. So I do this thing now where if people ask me stuff, I'm like, well, I'm kind of backed up, but I could put you on the list, and so, and I'll get back to you. So somebody asked me for. I might have showed you this last time I was on.
I don't remember John Constantine.
John Constantine and Gambit.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I sent them the scans. I'm like, hey, it's me from months ago, but here they are. If you want, and I always say, like, if you don't want it, you don't have to buy them.
Okay, so you don't take the money up front.
I don't. No, because I know I might never get to it or whatever.
Right.
But then I figure, like, and if they say no, then it's like, all right, I'll just post it and somebody else will buy it. But yeah, this person has never replied.
How often do they say no?
This is like the first time ever.
Oh, okay.
Well, they didn't say no. They just didn't reply. They just ignored me.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if I should like try again or not. But I'm like, all right, I don't want to be thirsty.
Trying twice isn't thirsty. 3, maybe 4 times, then you're getting thirsty.
Maybe I'll try one more time.
You say, hey, just, I'd appreciate it if you respond. If just say no, all you have to say is no, thank you. Got to give them that out.
Yeah.
Buffalo looks like the North Pole. It does. It gets that lake effect snow is no joke. It takes 14 hours to drive Newfoundland. That's not even including Labrador. Woof. The Finger Lakes.
I think you may take 12 hours to go from Marseille to Calais, or from Brest to Nice. But that's because France is a hexagon. But I'm sure it doesn't take you 12 hours to go from Schleswig-Holstein to Bavaria, north to south in Germany. That probably doesn't take you 12 hours.
And we've got Spawn 249, one issue away from the record-breaking 350th issue, Spawn.
Yeah.
Which I assume is going to be bigger because there's
isn't-
no still $2.99 on it.
Isn't every single issue a record-breaking issue at this point?
Quiet, Chris, okay? We don't need your smart mouth telling Todd that.
Yeah. Otherwise, Todd will do variant covers for every issue.
Does he listen every week?
Yes, he does. Just to hear what you're going to say. That's what he tells me.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know you guys were pals.
We're not. He just said, "Is it okay if I spy on Chris through your show?" And I said, "Of course." Because
That sounds like your pal.
Anything untoward. He's very polite Canadian. But this whole long story has been going on. A battle for Hell's throne between 3 or 4 different factions, including Spawn now is trying to get become King of Hell. So next issue, in our 350th issue, we should find out who the new King of Hell is. And you can, go to Target and get your Spawn toys if you want. February 2024. And it's by Rory McConville. No additional script by Todd McFarlane this issue. Art by Carlo Barberi, who's been drawn. Those two have been working on this for a good long time now. That's why I've been enjoying it. No Todd McFarlane.
Dude, he's listening.
Yeah, but he only cares what you say, not what I say. You're the one. Right. You're the influential one. He's wants to know what you're up to.
Yeah, you're right.
Find the water hole, Chris.
What?
The Friar Tuck.
What?
California's a long drive north to south. It sure is. That's the entire coast. That's like driving from New York to Florida.
Almost. Not from, maybe not New York to Florida, but to Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, a long ways. Northern Florida, maybe.
But I've seen pictures of the route of the Pacific Highway, and it's a pretty scenic route. You can't always looking at the sea.
Spawn was still $2.99.
Yeah,
but I expect the 350th issue to be more expensive because it's probably going to be a giant size one. So I expect to be paying extra next month for my Spawn fun.
And Spawn will probably fight his greatest enemy, anti-Spawn
himself. Oh, how about driving north to south in Chile?
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
What's the longest drive? It might be the longest drive in the world from Alaska all the way down to the tip of South America.
Yeah, and you still got to take the boat in Panama because the Darien Gap, you can't cross it. They tried crossing it in the again in the last 7 years, I think, about 7 years ago. And you can't get not even an old Jeep, an actual through the jungle. They were doing like 2 miles a day, and they couldn't.
Canadians being polite is a myth, you dumb jerk. That's obviously aimed at Chris. I mean, no doubt about it.
What?
Reverse spawn anyone? I felt bad typing that joke.
Well, see, you were,
I did not feel bad aiming it at Chris. I got to tell you, that's
see, but Ted Cullen is actually admitting that it's true. I mean, he calls somebody a jerk and immediately apologizes.
Don't
You
worry,
don't feel bad?
we got the joke.
Wait, what? How am I from? Am I from Canada? Is that what the
No.
the
Pit
premise
Goblin
is?
is from Canada. So he's saying Canadians being polite is a myth, you dumb jerk. He's aiming that at me because I said Canadians are polite. That's why Todd McFarlane was asking permission.
Oh, no,
I just called you a jerk. That's all.
Okay.
Newfoundland only joined Canada in 1977. What was it?
I took the opportunity with all these jerk insults being thrown around to hurl one your way.
That doesn't confuse me at all. That doesn't confuse me at all. I just didn't understand how Canada was related to me.
That's a whole country through mind.
Yeah. But Chile is like this wide, but then it's this long.
Tit Coblin, I was going to say you dumb asshole, but that was too harsh for him. Whenever any sentence starts with "listen, asshole," there's nothing good coming after it. Just to let you know.
Listen, asshole. Here's $1 million for you, tax free.
Never happens. Let's see. Now we'll get on to, let's see, the last two I bought this week, the Hot Chick covers. I picked up a couple of Zenoscope books. This is the guy who's kind of got an Adam Hughes style. Belle. And this isn't even Belle on the cover. This is Cindy, short for Cinderella. This is the, what does it say? Grimm Universe, it says over there. So there's all like the Grimm's fairy tales stuff. And I've picked I've probably bought about 6 of these this past year. I picked them up like on off weeks maybe, because the covers I like, the Pretty Women covers. Who's this cover by? It's by does it tell us the cover? No, it doesn't, and it's got 32 pages of content right over the artist's signature. They should have moved that signature. Their production guy isn't very good. But it's written by Dave Franchini with artwork by Jordi Tarragona, colors by Juan Manuel Rodriguez, letters by Taylor Esposito of Ghost Glyph Studios. I did not know Taylor had his own studio. I've only ever seen his name by himself. He's a former Marvel bullpenner who was after my time. Where's our there's our cover. That cover is by Sonia Matas, Matas. So she's got an Adam Hughes type style. I thought I'd looked up that artist before and it was a dude, but I guess I didn't. Cover D. But all of the Zenoscope stuff I've read is pretty good. They're like fantasy superhero story. They're superhero stories, but in a fantasy setting. You know, everybody's got powers. And this is actually Belle. She's a monster hunter, and she was out hunting monsters, and she ran into Cinderella, who's kind of a weird, dumb blonde character, but she's super strong. So then they fought some monsters together. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think every time I've picked up one of these Zenoscope ones, I've enjoyed them. So they do pretty good comics. Uh-oh, Tit Goblin said, sorry, everybody. I'm so goddamn sorry. Friar Tuck says, at least Canadians don't call people wankers still, even though it's still a part of Britain. Wanker. Says, Tit Goblin, Bell cover has great colors. Yeah, and there's even little flecks of blood in her stockings. Just to give a little horror element to it. But nice cut. Like I said, I picked this one up because I like that cover, and I said, let's give this one a read. If nothing else, Zenoscope books know how to market their stuff. They know how to put pretty women on covers. That's enough marketing for me. I have to imagine the pitch was Fable sells. What if we sexed it up? Yep, that too. And it actually, we can... Grim Universe, created by Joe Brusha, Brusha, and Ralph Tedesco, Tedesco. So I guess they were the guys who said, Fable sells. How about we sex it up? I think it's all Zenoscope owned, right? Published by Zeneca. All rights reserved. Grim Fairy Tale presents Bell. Zenoscope Entertainment. So I get none of this is creator owned. There's a lot of people in the indicia, though. Some of these small companies have a lot of people running them. I'm always wondering how they get paid.
Although I suppose they could actually use the Fables characters if they wanted to now.
Yeah.
In the public domain.
Public domain.
I was checking out the stuff that went into the public domain.
Yeah.
And in the songs that went into public domain, I Wanna Be Loved by You, Mac the Knife, and Making Whoopee.
Ah. Well, someone we know used Steamboat Willie in their comic strip over the past couple of weeks.
Yep. That's me.
Are you testing the waters, see if Disney comes after you or not? Nobody can believe that Steamboat Willie went into the public domain. I think people are still twitchy.
Yeah. Had Steamboat Willie testify at the trial. Whose trial is it again?
Wally Wackerman.
Wally Wackerman's trial. Steamboat Willie has to testify. There was a new Newburn issue this week. Did you check out the insaturation on that issue? I didn't notice one. I thought it was last week. The one I got last week that was oversaturated. I thought that was a new one. There wouldn't be another one for a month. I don't know, but I got to pull that out because I have to bring it in to show my class. I forgot to.
Lady Chatterley's Lover goes into the public domain. And Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, which is the 11th Tarzan novel, goes into the public domain.
Who's stronger, Tarzan or Flash Gordon? That's the argument they were having on The Little Rascal.
It's Tarzan.
So many years ago.
It's always Tarzan. Tarzan is a man who grew up in the jungle, and every time he fights to kill. Flash Gordon is a polo player.
That's a gentleman's sport.
I thought he was a football player. No?
Quarterback,
in modern incarnations, yes. In the original comic strips in the 30s, he was a polo player.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't the Flash. The horse was the Flash.
King of the impossible.
Yeah, but the movie, the 80s movie is not in the public domain.
Who wants to do a rip, read, and slab?
All right.
Let's do one of those. Let me see what I got here.
One of these days, we'll try to see if we can do that with public domain comics.
Well, then let's go back to 1940. October 1940 superheroes. I'm betting these might be in the public domain.
There depends on the publisher.
We'll see. Tarzan would use Flash as a bitch. Oh, Common Crap 2 says, going back to the Albedo number 2 talk, there's a CGC 5.5 up on Lone Star for $7,000. Wow.
Why?
Read them all, then slab them, and then rip them all up. Let's present. Share my screen. Pick a window. There we go. We have got All American Comics number 21, Blue Bolt number 7, and Smash Comics number 17.
So 21. That means the Atom already debuted as well. So we have 2 superheroes in All American Comics. The rest are not superheroes. Okay, Blue
featuring
Bolt,
the Ray.
Blue Bolt, that's not a, that's a Joe Simon. That's a Joe. No, that's already a Kirby cover. Yeah, that is a Kirby cover.
Which one?
Blue
Smash
Bolt.
Comics?
Blue Bolt.
Blue Bolt.
Yeah. See all the shading in the gloves?
Uh-huh.
But I think it's Joe Simon inking.
Man, I think the Ray on Smash Comics looks like he's throwing his head. That's a little weird.
One of the characters seems to be a member of the KKK, Invisible Justice. What the hell?
Huh.
Yeah.
Invisible Justice, espionage.
Yeah. But I'm good.
Like I said earlier, I was looking forward to the Jesus Bots Reed Ribbon Slab Dolphin placement. Reed Bolt, Slab All American, Smash, Rip Smash. Rip Smash.
Rip Smash. I'm going to read All American. They have science fiction writers at DC. It would be better. And Slab Blue Bolt, because it's Kirby. And I'm going to rip Smash, because seriously.
Uh-oh. This impolite Canadian is going to rip All American, of course. Slab Blue Bolt and Reed Smash. Dolphin the gun on the Smash cover. Oh, so he'd be knocking a dolphin out of his hand.
There's a character in Smash called Wings Wendell, and it's supposed to be serious. Yeah, no, I'm not going to take somebody named Wings Wendell seriously.
So what were your choices, Paulo, did you say?
So I'm going to read All American and Slab Blue Bolt and Rip Smash. Let's see. I am going to Dolphin the Tommy gun and All American. And the flamingos are going to be outside the cell bars in Smash.
Uh-huh. Looking in.
Exactly.
Eric P is going to read All American, Slab Blue Bolt, and Smash. I kind of like that Smash cover. I'm trying to decide between slabbing Smash and All American. I like that Smash cover, but that head is kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I might like disturbing. So I will slab Smash Comics. I'm going to read Blue Bolt and tear up All American. This time, I think I can tear All American along the diagonal. Right from his leg up his head to the corner. That's what I'm going to try and do. Last week, there was that one, that Western I could tear right down the middle. That one I'm going to try tearing on the diagonal. And I'm going to put the flamingos on the nose of the plane on the left side of Blue Bolt. So the closer plane, they'll be standing on the nose of it, going indubitably or something. Whatever flamingos think. They're on their own for that. And let's see, what can I dolphin? Ooh, one of those paratroopers way in the back of Blue Bolt is going to be a dolphin. So there'll be a dolphin coming down on a parachute. What about you, Chris? What do you think?
I want to read Blue Bolt because I want to see what the Kirby art looks like. I'll slab All American Comics because everybody knows that Alan Scott Green Lantern is big, big, big money. So I'll shred the Smash Comics.
Smash. Poor Smash Comics. Oh, Paulo, he's commenting now. Smash has a Lou Fine cover and a Will Eisner story inside. Look at that.
Yeah. So you don't have the excuse that it's a much lesser known book.
Ah. Well, I do like that cover, except that it reminds me of I think there was a Flaming Carrot cover where the villain was throwing his head at you. That's what I wonder if you got the idea from that. Are the flamingos allowed to be jumping from the planes? No, they're not in action. They're static.
I think you might be confusing it with Jello Man, Jared.
Ah, okay. Jello Man. Oh, that's right.
That was his finishing move, was to roll his head down his arm at you.
There is. And who was that? Whose was that? That was one of those bullpen cartoons.
Well, yeah, it might have been I might have had the comic. I might have brought the comic in, but then I turned it into a bullpen circus.
Oh, okay. That was an actual comic?
Yeah, so the one where Thomas is rolling his head off down his arm at me.
Right.
Yeah, that he was stealing Jello Man's move, his signature move.
And where was Jello Man from?
Jello put out like a comic.
It was like a promotional comic.
I think. Yeah, I think Kurt Busiek wrote it.
Oh. And his finishing move was to throw his head at you. That must be what I'm remembering then, because I remember
he wouldn't really throw it though. He kind of like roll it down his arm.
Ah.
And then the momentum it would gain would shoot off at you. Because everybody knows how deadly getting hit with Jello would be.
This isn't really fair. You have Kirby Green Lantern and some much lesser known books. Hey, but they're good. Jared, your dolphin just hogged the only chance for my flamingos to survive. Flamingos can fly. Don't worry about it. Flamingos in the diamond boxes on Smash. Dolphin the plane behind Blue Bolt. Aha. Let's see. Mine in the comments says, read Smash, slab Blue, rip All American Comics, Dolphin the airplanes in blue, and the flamingo on top of the yellow guy's head, just standing on his head. Kirby airplanes are really weird for 1940. Those are some strange ones. There was a plane that looked sort of like that. I don't remember what it was. I don't know planes that well. But some good covers there in 1940. Now, which of these is in the public domain? That Green Lantern isn't. Is Blue Bolt in the public domain?
I'm not sure. I think it might be. Smash Comics, it depends.
Well, the Ray, I know DC has the Ray, right?
No, but the DC has the Ray, but that doesn't mean that the stories are not in the public domain.
Okay,
Just
right.
you can keep a trademark on the character in the
But the
character's
comics
design.
themselves, they don't own.
Yeah.
They're in the public domain. Okay.
Yeah, because if the publisher went out of business 28 years before the 1976 copyright law, and
Mhm.
the company goes out of business, they don't and they don't they had to refile for copyright after the original 28 years passed to get another 28. So if they didn't do that second refile, the stories went into the public domain before they had to.
It's all so tricky, isn't it? Let's see. The last comic I got for the week to continue with the Zenoscope sexy women covers. We've got Van Helsing, a vampire hunter who hunts vampires in a bustier and stockings. All of a sudden, I can't remember what those crisscross stockings are called. And I'll show you the panel that showed me this one, that sold me this one. Where is it? There she is, kicking a vampire's head off. I was flipping through, trying to decide if I wanted this one, and I went, okay. She's kicking a vampire's head off. I'll go with that. It turned out his head was mostly chopped off, and the kick just finished him off. But I was like, all right. But this one is about, and it's funny because she's the only one. The other vampire hunt, this one takes place in what's the year? The late 1800s, maybe. Because they're all in old-timey clothes. But everyone else is, these are the two other vampire hunters. They're just dressed like normal old people. She's the only one in a circus outfit.
Yeah.
Giant tall hat. Oh, the old steampunk goggles on the hat thing, too.
Mm-hmm. But apart from that, she could be Madeline Kahn in Blazing Saddles. Everything below the waist is kaput.
And it turns out that this may be the first Van Helsing thing I picked up. But she's already got all those graphic novels.
Dang.
I mean, that's a fair amount. And no, it's funny. This is issue 1 of 3. The writer is Pat Shad. The artwork is Giulia, Giulia, Pellegrini, Pellegrini, with colors by Robbie Bavard. I wonder if they're using European artists on these.
The artist sounds like she's European, yeah.
Yeah, because I notice in all of the Zenoscope stuff I've picked up, the stuff is very illustrative and pretty well done. But it's like I've never heard of any of the people. So I'm like, maybe they're using, European artists who I've never heard of who have this illustrative style. But it was a pretty good issue. They're hunting vampires. But no, it's funny. Just gave you the credits. But then it says, story, Joe Bruscia, Ralph Tedesco, Dave Franchini, David Wall, and Pat Shand. It takes 5 people to come up with the story of they're gonna hunt vampires. I found that a little funny. There we go. Fishnet giggity. There's the word I couldn't remember. She's got fishnet stockings on. There's a lot of blood in that headless vampire. It's possible he's Jello Man and he's fine. Could be. There was a lot of blood coming out of that vampire. Have either of those books inspired you to check out more Zenoscope books? Yeah. I mean, I like both. I probably have checked out maybe 6 Zenoscope books now. And one of the reasons I haven't, I generally, they've got some nice, pretty lady covers, but I haven't always checked them out because they can be expensive. Like this one is 22 pages for $4. That's fine. That's, a Marvel comic. And this one is 32 pages for $6. That's a little expensive. So it's kind of like if I've already got 7 or 8 comics, I don't want to throw a $6 comic onto the pile. That's just kind of why I don't check out more Zenoscope books. But this week, with only 3 comics, throwing another 2 comics on just, was fine. But yeah, I have all the ones I've picked up on slow weeks have been pretty good, I gotta say. So I've not been disappointed with Zenoscope comics that I've picked up. Have you guys ever tried any Zenoscope comics? Probably not,
Yeah.
because
I did Zoot Suit many years ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't name one single one of them, even though you've just been talking about one.
They do a lot of fairy tale stuff, and they've got like a Robin Hood character who's a woman, and Robin is spelled with a Y instead of an I. They've got I think one of their books is even called Grimm's Fairy Tales or something like that.
Okay, so I found Julia Pellegrini's website and other places with info. So she worked for Disney Italy, and she had a few graphic novels published in France.
So she's definitely Italian.
Yeah, she's 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She studied in Florence.
Let's see. Undead Quinn says Zenoscope has a lot of writers. My favorite is Man Goat and the Bunny Man, the fun miniseries. Okay, I have seen that name, but I have not picked it up. Eric P. I need to get a copy of Robin Hood and Blood in the Water, which I checked out online and liked. Yes, once again, they all have nice covers. They all have, very pretty women covers. I guess they're mining that European art talent because they're all pretty well drawn too. Were those 2 comics the only ones you picked up this week, Chris? What was the name of them?
Wrong Earth.
The Wrong Earth. There we go.
Yeah, but I picked up some comics at the used bookstore today.
Oh, show us what you got. Let's see. Crazy. Oh, what year is that from? Magazine. I vaguely remember Marvel launching Crazy, but I have zero idea from what time period that memory is from.
I'm trying to look through for the indicia.
Aha.
Page 1.
It's from the Hide the Credits era.
Yeah, it's if it's not on page 1, it must be page 2 or 3, unless it's the final page. 2019.
Okay, so it wasn't that long ago.
I didn't even know it existed at all. What?
Who did the book? Who's some creators on that book? Uh-oh, Chris froze. We will never know. Oh, you froze for a minute, Chris.
You froze. All right. Stories by Jerry Duggan, Nelson Ribeiro, Frank Thierry, John Cirilli, Catherine Brown, Ralph Macchio, John Adams, Jesse Falcon, Teenie Howard, Zach Thompson, Lonnie Nadler, Bill Morrison. Those are the writers.
That's a lot.
Art by Scott Kobish, Don Simpson, Natasha Bustos, Bill Morrison, Roger Antonio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's a little squiggle above the E and Roge. How do you say that?
Roger. But I don't know. Maybe
Roger.
Roger. I don't know if it's Spanish or French.
Mauro Vargas, Brian Level, John Adams, Nelson Ribeiro.
The sketchbook says, "Welcome to Christy Russo's Read, Rip, Slab, and Froze."
Heyo.
Heyo.
Let's see.
Hey now.
Let's see.
A few years ago, Marvel put out a one-shot of Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal.
Silly Pig and Seal. Action Universe #2, Stray.
Stray, written by Vito Del Sante, who, Jared, I don't know if you remember him working at Jim Hanley's Universe back in the day.
No, I don't.
Back when we used to go there.
Yeah.
Oh, I know Vito, and I'm like,
I didn't know the staff as well as everybody else because I didn't have books to turn in.
I got this thing. Last Bot Standing is a Transformers book.
Standing.
I don't know anything about it other than there's a big empty space to draw a headshot of a robot if you want.
Transformers. And it's $6. I hope it's double sized. Oh, there's another price on it? What did he put? 35 cents. All right.
It's the way I roll.
Used bookstore has comics. Oh, Berserker.
I remember this was like a big deal for a while because Keanu Reeves has something to do with it.
Right, and it sold 500,000 copies on, Kickstarter or something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah.
You get that one for 35 cents also?
Yep. I saw a copy. This is the first copy of this I've ever seen.
There you go. That's one of my regulars.
So I remember you talking it up all the time, so I got that.
I enjoy that one. Solid superhero book. Wildstorm. I think I may have that. I may have bought that off the racks back in the day.
Barry Windsor Smith art. I had no idea. And I got this.
Sham Comics. Of Source
Took me a minute to figure out what it is, because it's a relatively new book, but it's old. Like, it looks really old. I'm like, wow, they really nailed that old style. And then I realized, like, oh, they took old comics and they just rewrote them.
Gotcha. That old sawhorse.
Yeah. So look what happens when this kid misses this grounder.
Shit. Classic. Roger might be Brazilian.
Could be.
Could.
Yeah, found his IG comic book artist based in Sao Paulo, Brazil. X-Men, Red, Conan the Barbarian, Justice, Year Zero, She-Hulk, and Carnage.
Okay.
As well as whatever that crazy say. Tit Goblin. Chris, you bought Radiant Black because of Jared. That officially makes Jared your influencer. Welcome aboard. Eat a Tide Pod.
What? Oh, no.
That's very un-Canadian-like of you, Tit Goblin.
Well, I'm his
Jared
influencer too.
Yeah, Jared buys Savage Dragon because of me. So
that's true. I'm still buying it even. Well, now I guess you could say I'm buying it because of Eric Larson, but I originally started buying it because of Chris Russo.
You gave it a shot because of me.
I did. I said, I'm going to put it on my pull list. Chris has been liking this comic for a long time. There's got to be something I'm not getting. I'll give it some try. I actually did that, not that you recommended it, with Terry Moore's Strangers in Paradise, too, where I sampled it a couple of times and thought it was okay. And finally, with issue, like, I don't even know what, 15, I was like, I'm just putting this on my pull list. And because I only tried an issue here, I'm like, because it's a comic I should like. I could tell. Sure enough, after a few issues and I got into it, I really liked it. I've been buying Terry Moore's stuff ever since. But sometimes it's like, this is a comic that should be up my alley. I should give it more of a try than one issue that I tried it.
If somebody has never read Strangers in Paradise,
yep,
is the whole thing available easily in trade format?
Yes, you can get it right from Terry Moore. Terry Moore keeps that thing in print, or else you can, if you've never read Strangers in Paradise, I would recommend starting with some of his other stuff. Echo or Rachel Rising. They're shorter. You'll really get a good feel, and then you can go back and read Strangers in Paradise if you like. Because Strangers in Paradise is a lot of issues, like 70 issues, maybe 80 with a couple of miniseries. But like Echo or Rachel Rising are like, 1 12-issue trade paperback. Echo's more than that, but they're around that. They're I think those are easier to get into. And it's also mature Terry Moore, as opposed to the early issues of Strangers in Paradise, which is early Terry Moore, might be harder to get into because he wasn't as smooth and slick and talented and experienced as he is now. Serial was just a good one, too. When is the next Terry Moore book? I'm not sure, but I think he's not going to be putting it out in comic book form. He's going to be doing them just as graphic novels. So that must mean it's going to be a while. Parker Girls was accessible and is recent. Yeah, that's another one. Parker Girls. That was his latest thing. And that's more action oriented too. Rachel Rising got Undead Queen into his comics. Yeah. That was a good, like I said, I think his stuff after Strangers in Paradise will get you into Terry Moore more than going back to the beginning of Strangers in Paradise or jumping in the middle of Strangers in Paradise. Just because that was a long story about relationships. And the other ones are kind of more, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, kind of easier to grasp onto. And then go back and get the other stuff. Have you read Terry Moore, Paulo?
Nope.
Nope, nothing available over there because it's all indie stuff, right?
It would be hard to pinpoint a storyline that could be published here.
Yeah.
It's some of the stuff. It's pretty old, so watching it now would make no sense. When Strangers in Paradise was hot, I just ignored it because I wasn't even 20, and I ain't gonna read no black and white indie comics.
No, thank you. Parker Girls was a spy thriller. Yeah, that's a good description of it. Tit Goblin says, Terry Moore draws beautiful ladies. They look extremely real, normal beauty, not fake comic beauty. Yeah, he's got a naturalistic quality to his artwork. Though they all have, red pug noses, so they might not be that realistic, but they are pretty. I do like his artwork, that's for sure. I have to check out his channel. I haven't checked it out in a little while. He's still in my feed. I just haven't clicked on one. He had one this weekend, last weekend, that I wanted to check out. That was something like easy way to draw distinct people in a crowd scene or something like that. I'm like, oh, I want to see that one, but I still haven't clicked on it yet. That sounds like it could be useful. They have those Richard Sala noses, yeah. 62 Lefty Blues. He re-released SIP into 4 trade paperback volumes. Number 3 comes out next month. Okay. Yeah, he's always reformatting them and trying to get them into new volumes and stuff. Like he put them in 2 giant omnibuses. He had them in a bunch of trade paperbacks as they were coming out. Now he's got them in 4 omnibus trade paper. Yeah. Abstract Studios is his website. So that's where you can buy them too, Chris. Abstract Studios. Which is strange because he doesn't do anything abstract. Guess he just liked the name. Uh-oh. Chris didn't even freeze. He blacked out and went all spinny. All spinny. I got to stop staring at that spinning thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to remove.
Maybe you can have confetti or balloons.
Let's see. Yay! There he is. Oh, now he disappeared again. I did not get his Terry Moore After Dark book. I got the digital version because I didn't want to pay $35 for it. So I got the digital version for 10 or 15, whatever it was. Echo and Rachel Rising are very good. Yeah, the first is only 29 issues, and I strongly advise you try it, Paulo. Strongly advise.
Strongly advised. How many trades?
Terry Moore is more cartoonist than a comic book artist. Yeah, I definitely would say so. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if I discovered that all of this is built into the Mac OS. That's what this is. This is built into the Mac OS whenever you do anything with video on the Mac. It gives you where's the other one? The other one is a heart. So if you're on a Mac, you can, so I guess, but you have to, it's turned off by default. You have to turn it on. There's Chris again. Chris, are you on a Mac?
No, I'm on my phone.
Is it an iPhone?
No.
No? Okay. Because I was
Droid.
This stuff I was doing where I get the confetti going or the balloon or the fireworks is built into the Mac OS, I found out.
Oh.
So with any video thing you're on, you get these gestures if you're on a Mac, and it will, float the hearts away. Double thumbs down is the thunder and rain.
That is weird, wild stuff.
Yes. But I must have turned it on by accident because it's off by default. And you just click on the little video symbol that's when you're on a video, and you can turn it on and off. 1 cheap omnibus, 5 trades maybe. Okay, so that's Strangers in Paradise. I've managed to collect all the issues of Strangers of Paradise, except I got a trade of the first series because it's all expensive, the first issue. And I don't think I have volume 2 yet, which is only also a few issues, but most of the issues of SIP are in volume 3. That's like 70 issues or something like that. But I've got almost all of them as comics. So someday I'm going to reread the whole thing. Someday. So Wilson's on a Mac, so I'm guessing he can do this stuff once he turns it on. But guess he wasn't able to make it this week. He said he was running late.
Now, do you have to be on this StreamYard?
No, you have to be on any video thing on a Mac.
Any video thing on a Mac?
Any video thing on any Mac. Like right now, when in the latest, it has to be I think the latest operating system is 14. My sister Jody was on 12, and it didn't work on that. When you're on 14, whenever you're on any video system, doing like video chat, besides the camera lighting up, a bright green camera comes into your menu bar. And you click on that bright green camera and turn on gestures. Eric
All right.
says, I had early issues the first SIP series, but they got sold off in my purge back in 2022. Yeah, that happens. Tit Goblin, tonight's great. We had Jesus bots, confetti, Reed Rip and Slab. I was a jerk. Chris is here. Wilson missed it all. I tell you. We'll have to tell him how much he missed.
What did I miss last week?
I don't think Tit Goblin was a jerk last week. So, matter of fact, was last week the week he didn't show up till the very end?
Yeah.
Yeah, he missed the whole show. I guess that was him being a jerk, a really big jerk, missing the whole show. Undead Quinn says, I found cheap Rachel Rising Rebound collection. It was cheaper than the omnibus. Is that when somebody has their own comics bound? That's interesting. The only thing I didn't like from Terry are his covers. They're too static. They're okay. They're okay. I mean, I don't dislike his covers, but I can't think of one that I love. They're nicely drawn. They're like nicely drawn pinups, I would say, kind of thing. Whoops. Undead Quinn. For some time, Rachel was on The Walking Dead. Yes, it was. Yeah, that was a good one, Ray. I liked Echo. I thought was Echo the first thing he did after SIP?
I guess.
I think it may have been. And I think Motor Girl is his most unsuccessful one in terms of people liking it. It was just okay. It was nothing wrong with it, but I don't think. Yeah, yes, it was. I had to do inventory in a department store. I had to count how many off-brand deodorants were on hand. It was amazing. That sounds like a fine Friday evening. Or Tit Goblin last week. Yeah, I remember like enjoying Echo a whole lot too, because it was it was different than Rachel Rising. It was like, oh, Terry Moore doing something different. How interesting. I remember him he did some work for Marvel in like the early 2000s. What was it? It was like Mary Jane stuff. Do you remember that, Chris?
Who?
I think it was while we were both at 40th Street. I remember it coming out.
What?
Terry Moore doing work for Marvel. And it was like something to do with like one of those comics about Mary Jane or whatever.
Was it Trouble?
I don't think it was Trouble, but it was something around sort of like that, around that era. We get here. Eric P says he did an issue of Ultimate Team Up, Black Widow and Spider-Man. Okay, not what I'm thinking. Did he do Runaways? Okay.
Terry Moore.
I vaguely remember thinking to myself, well, this is a waste of Terry Moore, which is usually what I think of when I see indie guys doing, Marvel or DC comics. Indie guys with sort of like a singular individual voice who do corporate comics where their voice just gets lost.
Runaways was a BKV book.
Was it what?
Brian K. Vaughan. It was. It's very self-contained. It uses parts of the Marvel universe, but you didn't have to read anything else.
SBPT says he has a very interesting one-shot called Ever. Yes, he did write Mary Jane in a hall. Humberto Ramos did. Okay, so he just wrote it. I keep meaning to get Ever, but I never did because it was only available on his website. So I kind of just never got that one. But I've been meaning to get it. I kick my butt not picking up Rachel Rising #1 under 100. I would 100% buy him doing books like the DC Solo series. Okay. I'm okay with Terry Moore doing Terry Moore stuff. He doesn't have to do DC and Marvel stuff for me. I give that the Helper Monkey wave. Mm-hmm. Mary Jane. He wrote it with Umberto Ramos drawing it. Interesting. That must be what I'm remembering. It was Ultimate Marvel Team Up number 14 that he penciled, says Eric P. All right. I must have looked at it way back then, but I don't think I ever got it. How's the digital drawing going, Chris?
This is very tedious stuff. so many characters.
Now, do you do each one on its own layer so you can move them around?
Not really, because there's a kind of like a limit to the amount of layers you can have. But I roughed the whole. It's basically the same as drawing, but
okay. I
will when I'm working on one specific character, I'll cut it out and paste it so it's separate, so I can just really work that one, and then once I feel like that's finished, I'll just merge it with the other finished stuff. So I kind of like slowly convert the rough image into a finished image with a lot of copying and pasting and then remerging.
Undead Quinn says Terry Moore did do grim fairy tale stories. Huh, interesting. Under Vertigo. I don't remember that at all. But like I said, I never paid much attention to Vertigo. So sorry, he wrote Runaways with Ramos and did 2 MJ miniseries. Oh, okay. So he drew the 2 MJ miniseries, and wrote Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, so that's when they brought back Runaways, which had nothing to do with the original concept, I think.
I remember the Runaways TV. I had the Runaways TV series. I watched the whole first season. They never ran away. Any comments on your art jacket this week, Jared? No, I don't think there were. It was last week. No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone commented on it this week. Just some looks. I want to paint some more stuff on it now. Now it doesn't have enough stuff. Well, it's getting time where we wrap things up. So does anybody have any final comments before we say goodnight?
Nah.
Chris is ready to wrap up that drawing for the evening and head home and watch some TV. You got to put it down, Chris. Even if you're not finished, there's always tomorrow.
I might stay on another hour.
Okay.
We'll see.
Might stay on another hour.
I mean, I'm not feeling exhausted, and I'm not happy with the amount of work I actually got done. So I got to keep going.
Tit Goblin says I finished Austin Stories. It was great. All right, let's give him some fireworks for that. One of my favorite series and a favorite of the bullpen back in 1997.
That's what? That's what I'm going to watch. That's what I got to watch next. I haven't watched that since it was first on. In a long time. And I think you gave me files for it.
Okay. You can also find it on YouTube these days.
Oh, okay. I'll just do that then.
62 Lifty Lee says, you know how artists are. Yeah. He's exhausted and needs to work another hour.
Well, that's the thing. I'm actually not exhausted.
Oh, you're not exhausted. I thought you said
I'm not exhausted, so I'm like, I can.
Okay, that's good.
I have a little gas in the tank.
So you may as well keep going.
Because if I'm not exhausted, and then I'm like, hey, I'm gonna. The concern is I'm not exhausted at bedtime, and then I don't sleep.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a good night out there. And we will catch you next time.
Bye.